got these very fine lines I was talking about before, which comes from the earth one there. That one's been cut in a certain way. These shaped rocks are quite powerful. Now, I've got another one here that doesn't even come from here. This particular rock is a healing rock. My wife used it when she got crook. It comes from Wisconsin. Now the reason we've got this rock is because it's 7 layers, it's got a resin on top, and it's got the straight lines. And what we're trying to show people is that this is an international language that began in this place and spread to the rest of the world. That's why this one compares to a Bosnian rock, a rock in Calgary and Germany, and this one's from Wisconsin. What we're trying to show people is the original people began this story and they put it everywhere. Now, these are mark rocks. They're knowledge rocks. They give us information of the past. These ones here are completely different. These are what we're going to have to call magic rocks. They're rocks that actually have some sort of power within them. Now this particular one, it's got a very high resonance to it. It's been cooked. I've got 6 rocks like that. I didn't bring them all out at the moment. Now these rocks are meant to be held. They're supposed to be held. Now, with these silcons, which by the way is a Whitefellow word, which very, very creative. It means a cylinder and a cone. And a clever Whitefellow put that together and made the word silcons. That's not their proper name. There's only ever been one paper written on these, and it was appalling. I didn't want to touch these until Uncle Marbach told me how they work. And we can get them to work. What you do is you place your thumb, there's a marker there for that to go there, and you point upwards. And you have these 2 silcons, you point upwards, and then you can lift things. They're power rocks. We've done experiments with crystals and dowsing rods, which people laugh at, but they do work. Well, I can make these things work 100 metres away. I can point these over to where the fire is, and someone will have a rod there, and it'll move. But what happens with these things is what comes out, the power, and I've got one to work on my hand, and I'll tell you what actually happens. It comes out through this point here and goes in a ray. It doesn't break up. I've got one rock that does work for me. And what it actually does is you put it in the bottom, the base of the palm here, and not this one, it's another one that I put on this finger here. And the heartbeat starts here and gets stronger and stronger, then transfers into the rock. And I've felt it. I swear to you, I've felt it 3 times. It then goes up and down and gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And if I hold on to it long enough, it'll finally shoot out there and it'll be quite powerful. What we've found is, you put this rock down here, and you can put dowsing rods, crystals over it, won't move. Will not move. It only works when you put it in your hand. All of these rocks work when they put them in your hand. And what they do is they basically read you. They take your wisdom and your knowledge and your flaws and they put it inside you. They store. This is actually a storage of humanity way back. And this is what I'm looking at now. And if we had the right people, and we did have one, which was Karno, I know that he knew the first language and I know that he knew what these rocks meant. But we need to find someone else. So these rocks are actually power rocks. This one here is also a power rock that's held like that and pointed this way. They're always pointed and there's always grips and ways of holding them. And this rock is really very important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's not a male rock, it's a female rock. It's held in the left hand. Right? Most of these power rocks are held in the right hand. This one's right hand. This one here is also right hand. It goes in, I think, like this. Yeah, it's a right hand one, but this is left. And this rock here, I think, is the only rock I've got that doesn't have any evil in it. Every other rock has been held by good people and bad people, and it takes bits of both. This one, I do not believe has got anything in it but pure good. And it's very important for some other rocks I've got that aren't quite as happy and as joyful. And we'll talk about them later. But this one actually, I've healed one person who got hurt by the 3 bad rocks and got them completely better, and I've done this twice. This was found on the Central Coast, very close to this rock here. What I've found is the rocks are centred in a few areas. Gosford, quite a few of this from Gosford. Some are from Byron Bay, and a lot of them are from here. And I've got to make the point, and some people have asked, why are we storing the rocks here? There's a very simple reason for that. We have about 150 of these rocks, of which 20 have got a location. The rest have none. And I'm going to tell you now, in most cases, it won't be recognised again. So we have to put them somewhere. and it can't be in a museum, and it has to be somewhere holy and sacred. And there's no place better than this. So that's why they're going here. So the purpose of this is, today I'm bringing these rocks down. Some are coming down for the first time to be introduced, some are staying. Because some have got to stay. We've got to start a collection here that starts here. When I come down next time, we're bringing all the rocks down because we haven't got them all yet. And then they're all staying. And from that point on, if I want to come and see them, I'll come down here and we'll look after them from here. They have to come back to country. They can't go with a museum. They have to go on the ground. The point I've learnt with these rocks is this, and this is where it gets hard. They're alive. They haven't finished their job. They're still here and they've got a job to do. And their job is to change this place. There are staffs, there's sticks, there's crystals and all these things. This is one of quite a few things. But I've seen these rocks since I went to the Irish Club in Adelaide. And I can tell you before that, they were stirring. But since that day in Adelaide, particularly on the second day, when Karno stepped in and brought spirits with him and changed everything, these rocks aren't stirring anymore now. They're absolutely accelerating. They've now got to the stage now where these rocks affect everyone. I've got another set of rocks I'm not going to bring up this time, but we'll bring up later, that do affect everyone. But also, so does this rock. I mean, this closed down the security system in Sydney because I took it somewhere where it took up bad energy and they couldn't see through it. All of these rocks are now alive. And they've got a role and a purpose, and their purpose is to tell us what we did do and what we will do. That's the second part of this equation. They are here now, and they've been found now because they want to go back to country. And they want to go back here. And that's a decision we've made as a group, and we're not going to back down on that. And that's where they're going to stay. Yes, there's a couple here. I've got one that's a Quincan rock. Yeah, that'll go back. That'll go back to those people because it's theirs. We know it's theirs, and it's been proven. But I can tell you that these rocks here, all of the rocks I've got here, are unsourced bar 2, and the two that are sourced, this is not sandstone and this ain't igneous. So the one thing I can tell you is this is not a Githable rock and this is not a Darkinghong rock. And they're the only two I know where they come from. The rest I don't know. And because I don't know, we've got to make a decision about where they go, and they go here. So basically what you've got there is just a small sampling. I'm not going to bring them all out because we'll go forever. But what you have here is the history of humanity from before humans were here to when humans came here and then met with someone else. And of course the third part of that story is staying here. The third part Karno picked up when I did my first talk here, and he spoke about one rock and two others that go with it. And the third rock, which is not here at the moment, is where humans and Pleiadians come together and become one species, which is what we are now. And that rock, along with the other two, it needs to stay here. It's the last part of that story there. So very briefly, there is a very quick introduction to a few of these rocks.
So what kind of concerns might you have if these rocks couldn't be left at a sacred place?
What concerns? I'll give you one now. I took these rocks. I took that rock, and that rock, and that rock to Sydney, the Australian Museum, and they sucked in all the energy of all the objects there that didn't want to be there. They closed down the security system. They couldn't see through it, and they made me incredibly sick because they sucked in all that energy, which means these damn things are alive. And they told me straight away they do not want to be put in a museum. They do not want to be put behind a glass case where they can't breathe the air. They want to be placed on the ground. When I look after these rocks, I place them on the ground or on wood. I won't put them on anything else. I've got them on wood now because that's where they need to be. When I went into that museum there and saw thousands of artefacts there, I've got a wall up where I don't listen to this stuff because I can't afford to. I go crazy. They broke that wall down straight away. It was appalling. They wanted to get out. And what happened was my rocks here just took all of that energy. And I've got to tell you, you don't want to go near that energy when it's there because it's so dark. But normally these rocks here are light rocks. They're meant to actually make us better people. And that's their job, to make us far better people. And what they've done is they've got my DNA wrapped into them now. They know me back to front, and I know them pretty well too. Their job is to drag us out of the mess we're in now. That's what they're going to do. And I can tell you, I had a lady there, Jambi, and with this really incredible psychic lady called Iris, and she said they're so frustrated, and I'm going to tell you something else, so disappointed when they came back and they've been lightened up. They are really disappointed with the clientele they're working with. This is not what they were left with. When they left, they were left with people who really knew about the old ways. The reason why I'm going to bring the 3 rocks I have an issue with down here, I'll only open up here, is because here I'll be with people who are in contact with the old ways. Some of these rocks, a couple of these rocks, we've got to quieten down a bit. Some of the other ones are fine as they are now. They want to help, but I can tell you, I've been told, they aren't happy. This is not what they left. And if we think today is the peak of Homo sapiens sapien, no, definitely not. The rocks confirm with me, we're not at the peak, we're at the trough.
Yeah.
We're down the bottom, and we're dragging ourselves out. They'll drag us out. They'll take us up there. But there's a lot of people who are going to find these rocks very difficult because they've got an elevation we can't come close to yet. And they are alive. Honestly, they're alive. And they haven't finished. Like, we think archaeology is something of the past. This is a circle. This is the original timeline. It doesn't stop. And these guys here all have a role to play. Some of the rocks aren't as powerful as these, but some form, they work together. And I've put them into 2 circles, one for knowledge and one for spiritual wisdom. And that's why I keep them separate all the way. This is one mob, this is the other. So no, they've got a story that's not complete.